In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you by the Nutritional Therapy Association. The NTA trains and certifies nutritional therapy practitioners
like me
and consultants by focusing on bio-individuality.
One size diet doesn't fit all.
And the range of dietary strategies that support wellness.
Being healthy overall, y'all.
The NTA emphasizes a whole food,
vegetables from our front yard and backyard gardens,
properly prepared,
like fermented and sprouted,
and nutrient-dense diet.
Like grass-fed butter and grass-fed beef,
as the key to restoring balance and enhancing the body's innate ability to heal. Throughout their programs, students learn a wide range of educational tools and techniques to identify and correct nutritional imbalances and deficiencies in their clients, and they launch a successful career in holistic nutrition.
And they might become best-selling authors and podcasters too.
The NTA produces like-minded practitioners and consultants that we consider the leaders in health and wellness.
Oh yeah.
Registration is now open for May classes, and you can learn more and save your seat by going to nutritionaltherapy.com.
Go sign up.
And don't forget to mention Jimmy and Christine Moore on your application. What's that website again, Christine?
Nutritionaltherapy.com.
Go sign up, y'all. You hear?
Oh yeah.
You're so silly. Hey guys, we're back here on another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and if you want to engage live in this show, we do start off on Instagram Live, so go check us out over there. At Living Low Carb Man is my moniker over there, the username on Instagram. We also simulcast here on Facebook Live, so thanks for being here. Today we're doing the very special Jimmy Rants Nutritional Pearls Podcast crossover episode, which is why we have the beautiful lady right here. Mm-hmm. So if you missed the live over on Instagram, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear. You'll need to go check out the past episodes over on YouTube. Type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants and Nutritional Pearls Podcast crossover episode, we're going to talk about a word, Christine, that we talk about quite a bit on our show, Nutritional Pearls Podcast, because it is so critical when we start talking about diet to recognize that there really is no such thing as one size fits all dieting. So, I'm Jimmy Moore, international best-selling author of Keto Clarity and the brand new book, Real Food Keto. And I'm joined each and every Monday on the Nutritional Pearls Podcast, nutritionalpearlspodcast.com, by my wife, who is a nutritional therapy practitioner, who also is the co-author on the book, Real Food Keto. Her name, Christine Moore, NTP. What's up, Chris?
My eyes are watering.
Your eyes are watering. Are you already crying?
No.
She loves you guys so much that she's just so weepy. So we do talk about this word that we're going to talk about and focus in on here today, this word of bio-individuality, okay? So I think we need to define what that means, and what we're going to talk about here today specifically is the keys to finding the diet that's right for you, because people oftentimes hear, well, just find the diet that works for you. And people are like, what? You don't really know how to do that. And so we're going to help you do that here today. But first of all, why don't you talk about bio-individuality, define it, what does it mean, and why does it exist?
Simply put, it means we're all different. We have different genetic makeup that makes us have certain features. For instance, thank you. For instance, some people that are very athletic, what's that called, a mesomorph or something like that? They have the genetic predisposition to be that way. Others make great swimmers. They have that genetic makeup. So that's all that means. We have different color hair, different color eyes,
Or no hair.
different genetic mutations that affect different things. So that's why it's not a one-size-fits-all diet, because there's just so much that each person has different things that they're dealing with.
So that's bio-individuality in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So in light of bio-individuality being a thing, and it's a very real thing,
Yeah.
why have we kind of been told a kind of monolithic way of eating? So when someone wants to go on a healthy diet, typically they default to what the dietary guidelines have said, which is typically kind of a lower fat type of diet, higher carbs. Why have those diets been pushed in light of the fact that we know bio-individuality is a thing?
Well, I think for some people, they do a diet or a lifestyle and it works for them.
Yep.
They become very zealous about it, very like, oh, this worked for me, so it's got to work for you type
Yeah.
of thing, and they don't take into account that bio-individuality thing. And I think some of it goes into people want something simple. They want to be told how to do something.
Oh, yes.
And so
If I get another person that says, I don't really care about trying to figure all this out on my own, just tell me how many grams of carbs to eat, how many grams of protein to eat, how many grams of fat to eat, and I'll do it exactly. And my answer to that is always, I have no idea, because
Yeah.
there's so many things which we're going to talk about here today that go into that.
yeah, so that's why it's not a one size fits all. I mean, even with the clients that I see, each one of them have different needs. Maybe all of them have insulin resistance,
Yeah.
but they have other factors that make it so, okay, I have to adjust in this one small area.
Yep.
And it's complicated, and people can get kind of discouraged with that. But this is where, I mean, it takes work. It takes work to figure things out.
And bio-individuality, I think, is the number one reason why the diet industry exists. Because the diet industry is trying to fix weight and health problems with monolithic answers. And when people offer a monolithic answer of, okay, this is the diet you should be doing, and everybody should be doing, and if everybody did this diet, then therefore everybody would get these results, like you were saying earlier, because one person or one group of people see results doing something, they assume it's going to happen for everybody. And then that doesn't work, so then somebody else comes along, no, I've got the answers to everything. No, I've got and so you've got vegans, and you got paleo, and you got keto, and you got the cabbage soup diet, and you've got whatever. And I think that's where we get into trouble, is assuming that there is a one-size-fits-all diet. And you know that in 2010, I went to Washington, D.C., and I testified before the Dietary Guidelines Committee at the USDA. And what was it that I said? What was my recommendation that they do? In 2010, this was.
I mean, you told them to make keto or low carb, high fat an option. Give it as an option.
Give options is what I said.
Yeah.
I said we all have different shoe sizes, so why doesn't it stand to reason? Your mom keeps saying hello, so we should say hello to Libby.
Hey,
Hi,
Mom.
Libby. And we have different shoe sizes. We don't think twice about, I've got 13 triple E size feet.
Yeah.
We don't think twice about me not trying on your 5.5s.
Oh, come on, you can't fit your foot into my 5.5.
I think I can barely put my toe in your 5.5s.
For those of you that are curious, that's a child size 4.
Yes. I'll show you. I got a big old foot. Here we go. Whee! It almost got there. It would have been funny if I kicked my iPad and went flying through the air. No! So yes, so we all have different diets that work for us. Now, we advocate for and we do a ketogenic diet, but as a nutritional therapy practitioner, you're not stuck on keto for everybody. Why don't you walk us through a little bit? And we're talking about, if you're just joining us, we're talking about this whole concept of bio-individuality. We've got the wonderful nutritional therapy practitioner herself, Christine Moore, NTP, here today. And we're talking about this issue of the keys to finding the diet that's right for you. So when you talk to a client, walk us through how you kind of get them there to understanding that we need to figure out what that diet is that's right for you.
So my clients, what I do is I send them a bunch of paperwork to fill out, and a lot of times that can be like, oh my gosh, all this paperwork, but it's necessary because I need to see where that client is, what they're dealing with.
It's a food journal, right, that you do?
Well, a food journal, what's called a nutritional assessment questionnaire, which is like 300 questions of things that maybe they're dealing with, like painful joints or feeling of bloatedness. Is that a word?
Bloatedness.
I just made it a word. Anyway, so it's things like that because each client is going to have different things that they're dealing with based on either their genetic makeup, their circumstances, what they're dealing with at home. And so I have to look at those things. And the important thing is to not overwhelm the client because I don't want to make too many changes up front because it can get overwhelming.
And let's pause there a second. So if you're trying to figure out what diet is right for you and kind of tweaking things, this is key. Get a foundation first. So get some basic principles, which is what you're talking about here, and get those started. And if you get basic foundation started, then you can add things to that foundation. But the foundation should get you going.
Yep. So for my clients, what I like to tell them to do after I've looked at their paperwork, I say simply, okay, if they need a ketogenic diet, I will say, look, here's what your plate is supposed to look like. Now, your macros, I can't tell you what that is because I don't know what that's going to be. But just in simple, this is what your plate's supposed to look like: a good source of protein. Maybe palmful size of protein. For some people that's like 6 to 8 ounces. And then some sort of fatty sauce on top of the steak, and some vegetables, some non-starchy veggies with maybe some butter, and then that's simply what it is. I mean, it's that simple.
And maybe some berries if they want something sweet.
For dessert, some dark
cream.
Chocolate, heavy cream. If they can tolerate it. And this is where the bio-individuality comes in, because not everybody can tolerate the berries.
So part of tolerate is people think, okay, works for you. They always go right to weight loss as being the quote works for you. So talk about some of those non-weight ways that you determine and you help your clients understand what's working for them. Does blood sugar come into it? Does how they feel matter? Talk about that.
So for instance, I can give you a prime example. In 2016, I think it was, I had several tests run. It showed I had adrenal fatigue and all that sort of stuff. And
she lives with Jimmy Moore, so she has adrenal fatigue.
And so I found out at that point, the person I was working with, Dr. Will Cole, he recommended that I do the AIP diet, autoimmune protocol. And so at that point, I had to cut out dairy.
And nightshades. And eggs and all kind of stuff.
And I realized at that point that dairy was kind of a trigger for me. Because
you got psoriasis itchy in the back of your head, didn't you?
I did. And the funny thing is, side story here, ever since my total hysterectomy, I've only had a couple of outbreaks with that.
So it's healed you of that autoimmune condition, in essence.
Evidently, there was so much inflammation in my body. One thing was triggering another. But
not your Hashimoto's, though. You still have that.
I still have that. But so I found out that dairy was causing a rise in blood sugar. And so when I cut, when I cut dairy out, I saw my blood sugar stayed in the 70s.
Was it the protein that was doing that? What was causing the rise in the blood sugar? Did Will explain it?
It could be either the protein or the lactose.
Or the inflammation.
Or the inflammation.
That was increased, and then when you stopped increasing your inflammation, came down.
Because I can tolerate small amounts of dairy now.
Like heavy cream in your coffee, that kind of thing.
I do know that's a lot. That when the way I have them make my coffee, it's a lot of.
She
heavy
gets like
cream,
a
so
latte, so they put quite a bit of.
So I
heavy
think
cream.
that's a little bit too much.
Okay.
Because I notice I will start to.
She'd be like.
Yeah. But I can have a little bit like some hard cheese or something like that, and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So it's those things, looking for those things. How does what you eat affect your blood sugar? How do you feel? Do you get sleepy after your meals? How does what you eat affect your mood? And a lot of these things, depending on what you eat, it all kind of goes back to blood sugar, because blood sugar swings can affect your mood and sleepiness and that sort of thing.
But I love it because people don't always feel blood sugar changes. So if you're not testing your blood sugar currently, be testing your blood sugar. I think this is a huge part of finding the diet that's right for you, because you can't know the changes unless you physically see them on the meter. I got a question the other day about why does my blood sugar go down after I eat, and that's reactive hypoglycemia. So blood sugar going down after you eat isn't necessarily a good thing, and you'll feel it in the symptoms. And this is where paying attention to how you feel is a part of this equation.
Yeah, and I want you to know that it's not just about food. I mean, so a poor night's sleep, if you have a poor night's sleep, you're going to have...
Like you did last night.
Like I did last night. You're going to have higher blood sugar the next day. You're going to have those cravings. If you struggle with certain cravings, those cravings are going to be really bad.
Why are they always carb cravings? That's the bad thing. It's like, I never crave like bacon. I never crave steak.
Because carbs, in essence, are sugar, and sugar
It's
lights
quick
up
energy.
that part of the brain that these illicit drugs light up. It's
And your
the
body
same-
knows that's quick energy.
Yeah, it knows it's quick energy.
I knew the answer to it. I just wanted to hear my beautiful bride give that answer.
Yeah, so we're not talking about this is why I can't say it now.
I got her to not say bio-individuality well.
This is why it's so important, because you got to look at what's your stress level? What type of job do you have? Are you getting enough sleep? What hormonal imbalances do you have?
Yeah.
So I just got tested for adrenal fatigue again. I've got it again. Both of us do. Both of us do. And I've got low serotonin, low dopamine, low DHEA.
She's got a high dope, but low dopamine.
low epinephrine and norepinephrine and estriol.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. So all those things affect weight as well. And again, we're not just talking about weight, but overall health. But if you're struggling with
It'll
weight,
show up in your weight.
these are areas that will affect your weight.
I was just talking to an old friend of mine, and the diet's dialed in, everything's going well.
Yeah.
And I said, so, what's going on in your life? Oh, I work 60 hours a week, and they call me in. It's this very stressful job. I'm like, ding, 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 we have a winner.
Yeah, exactly.
We know why things aren't moving. So this is a good lesson in this bio-individuality thing, is maybe you have dialed in your diet to exactly the way your body will respond in a positive way for your health. But because of mitigating circumstances, you mentioned sleeplessness earlier, stress is another one. If you have unresolved kind of issues in your past, this is where forgiveness can help and bring about that healing in the body as well. Medications can also throw a monkey wrench into this.
Yeah.
Even some supplements can also do this as well. So very complex issue.
And one thing that we haven't talked about, and unfortunately, a lot of these tests are very expensive, genetic testing.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you only need to have it done once. Those things don't change.
Those genetic tests sure are an MTHFR, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
So, for example, you have one of the MTHFR gene mutations.
I do. The six something.
One of your parents, the
6125.
1298, I think.
That one. No, 1298. Yeah.
1298. From one of your parents, I have the C677T.
That one, yes.
From both parents. And
yay. Thanks, Libby and John.
Yeah. So my body cannot convert folic acid into folate, and you have trouble with methylation as well. So we both have to take a methylated form of folate.
Right.
You have the ACAT1 gene mutation, which means that your gluconeogenesis doesn't work correctly.
Which means when I eat fat and protein, generally some of that can be converted over into glucose, but because it doesn't do that properly, I have issues even when I'm eating like higher amounts of protein. We noticed last year was not good for me.
And back to because not a lot of people know about this, and we may have to do an episode on the MTHFR mutation.
Your mom said you're welcome for your gene, by the way.
So the MTHFR gene mutation, that
What'd you call
affects brain health, it affects your mood, it affects all those things. And so, because your B vitamins are very important for brain health.
Yep.
They're very necessary for energy. So if you find that you're tired a lot, this is why it's not just about the quality of food too. I mean, the quality of food is very important, but you may have these other things. Another gene mutation that I have is ApoE.
That's a genotype.
It's a genotype. I'm a 2-3, which is not bad. But
4-4 is the worst of the worst. But any 4 SA is bad.
From what I understand, if I understand it right, a 2-3, the 2 means that I have trouble removing triglycerides from my body. At least that's what Dr. Davis told me.
And thankfully, you have low triglycerides.
Yeah,
even though you have trouble with it, you still manage them well.
If I do,
keto helps.
Yeah, if I do go off plan, I know that my body is going to have a hard time clearing those triglycerides out of my body.
And I'm a 3-3, which is the most common type. 70% of the population have that ApoE 3-3. And again, if you have like 3-4 or 4-4, it's kind of a tough situation for those people.
Yeah.
But keto does help with that as well. So lots of moving parts to this. And if you're kind of just joining us, we're talking about the subject with the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Christine Moore, NTP, about the subject of bio-individuality, kind of defining what that means, how to find the diet that works for you. You hear people talk about, oh, we're all different. We got to find the diet that works for you. And you might be thinking, well, I don't know how to do that. So we're trying to circumnavigate that a little bit for you here today. And we've already talked about starting with some basics. Can you recap that one more time? What are some of those real quick basics to get anybody started?
So I would just look at your plate. Let it be a source of protein, fatty sauce, and non-starchy veggies. If you're going to do keto,
right?
If you're not going to do keto,
what if they want to do vegan?
It's important. If you're going to do vegan, it's very important that you get fat in. I hate to say this.
And eggs.
I hate to say it, but that would mean they're not vegan.
Well, I mean, you have to explain why those things are important, right?
This is when Weston A. Price did his research. He was a dentist, and he went around all to these traditional cultures and wanted to observe their dental health. And he realized that all these healthy traditional cultures incorporated some animal products.
There was no healthy culture that didn't incorporate animal products.
He found no healthy vegan society.
Right.
It's because these animal products, meat and eggs, are all complete sources of protein, of essential amino acids. And so this is why I kind of I don't
you discourage
like it.
your clients maybe away from it?
If they want to do vegetarianism, I'm okay with that.
Or ketotarian. So Dr. Will Cole has, if you eat eggs and you eat fish with a mostly plant-based diet, you could make that work because the complete proteins are in those eggs and fish.
Yep. But it's those animal products are just very important for our health. We get a lot of our fat-soluble vitamins from that, calcium and all those things.
You learned that from the Nutritional Therapy Association. They really hammered that into you guys hard. So those of you that are curious about whether they believe in kind of a vegetarian vegan diet, hopefully this kind of answers. The NTA is very pro animal-based foods.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so finding the diet that's right for you. You've got a basis. So at what point do you make changes? So we talked about testing your blood sugar. We talked about kind of paying attention to symptoms. Let's say your blood sugar starts to go a little wonky after you eat some food. You see it go to 117 in 2 hours postprandial, and it's still not back to baseline again. You start to feel kind of sluggish and fatigued during the day. What are some things that people can immediately tweak once they see these symptoms pop up?
So if you find, there's several things, and I'll give example. based on one of my clients. The first thing I would say, okay, if you're hungry a couple of hours after you eat, my first inclination would be add a little bit more fat into the next meal. This is where listening to your body.
All about that fat.
We've forgotten how to listen to our bodies.
Yes.
Because part of that is just eating by the clock. We think we have to eat at certain times, and we don't listen to our bodies. Are we hungry? Are we thirsty? Are we not? So I would say, add a little bit more fat. If you find that you're still hungry, maybe take away a bit of the protein.
Yeah.
And then, even more specific than that, if you still struggle, I would look at the type of protein. So this is where one of my clients come in. She's been doing keto for about 6 weeks, and she's seeing improvements in her energy, and things are improving, and I'm really glad to see that, but she's still struggling in certain areas. And so I asked her what type of protein she was eating, and what on a lot of her meals it's chicken, and even if it's the dark meat, that has more fat in it, but chicken, and not everybody knows this, chicken
is insulinogenic.
It produces an insulin response more so than other proteins. And so I said, how about switching that chicken out for beef and see how that makes you feel for that one meal, and see if you have that brain fog or fatigue in between the meals. See if you get hungry in between your next meal.
I get so hungry when I eat chicken, and not just chicken breast, really any chicken. If I've had chicken wings, we like to eat chicken wings every once in a while, and I'll notice when I have even say 12 chicken wings, which is a lot of wings, about an hour and a half later, I'm starving.
I am too.
And it's that insulin response, you guys. So pay attention to the symptoms. If you eat food, you're supposed to be pretty well sated for 6, 8, 10, 12 hours.
Sometimes even 24 hours.
Sometimes even longer than that. And I think the whole idea of your ability to go long periods of time after eating, this is a great sign that you found the diet that works for you.
Yeah. So I would tell them to look at the type of protein, and then I would, look at what other factors are going on in their life. Do they have a stressful job? If they do, I recommend things that they, I recommend doing an activity that they like. Meditate, pray, whatever it is that you like to do. I tell them do it to help them relax. I mean, that's something that they can do to help improve stress.
Namaste in bed.
Yeah. I look at what type of medications are they on that may be affecting.
What drugs are you taking? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I look at their medications and see if you're taking this, like your mom has to take a steroid.
High dose steroid.
Because of her myasthenia gravis.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a fact of life for her.
And she tries to eat keto and gets frustrated because of the weight being hard.
And she focuses on the weight and she gets discouraged, but yet she doesn't focus on those non-scale victories, as you like to say. Like, when she started keto the first time, she was actually able to sleep in her bed.
She had not done that in years.
And so that was a non-scale victory.
Yes.
And we need to get off of focusing on that scale and focus on what other benefits are we getting.
Let's talk about some of those in this context of finding what works for you. Works doesn't just mean the weight, you guys. And so what are some of those things that people could pay attention to as they're eating a diet that would show that they're getting benefit, even if the weight could be a little bit stubborn?
Yeah, so how's your mood? Do you see an improvement in your mood? And a lot goes into your mood. Those neurotransmitters affect your mood a lot too. And so that can be a difficult thing to balance. And that's where you need to work with somebody that can help you get those things back in balance.
Highly, highly recommend the Dutch test.
Yeah.
Get the Dutch test. You pee your second urine of the day into this cup, and then you do 4 spit into biles 4 times throughout the day. And it was so revelatory to us when we had it done. Both of us.
We both have low serotonin, and guess what?
And low morning cortisol.
And guess what? Serotonin, it's the feel-good neurotransmitter.
I feel good.
But if you're low on serotonin, you're going to be low and your
melatonin later.
sleep cycle is going to be off because you're not going to be producing the melatonin, because the melatonin comes from the serotonin. So again, this is why it's not just about diet.
Right.
So yeah, I would recommend getting that test done for sure. I mean, it's very, very interesting.
So what other things should we focus on to know that you found the diet that works for you?
So for me, some things were looking at my joint pain. My joint pain went away as I started eating healthier. I noticed a lot of my joint pain went away. My eyesight actually got better.
This is the coolest, you guys. Tell the story about how your eyesight got worse each year, and then you went keto.
So, we didn't know this stuff growing up, and, I don't...
Your mama's right there. Be kind.
I know. I don't fault anybody. We just didn't know.
Right.
And so, so my eyesight would get worse each year, and I would have to get a stronger pair of glasses. And I thought this was just a fact of life for me, and to some extent it is, because I was a premature child, and so with that comes some health challenges. But when I started faithfully eating a ketogenic diet in 2011, my next eye doctor appointment, my eyesight had actually gotten better. I'd been on keto for about 4 months at that time.
Yeah.
And we actually had to go the other direction. We had to...
And her glasses were not cheapo, you guys. They were like $1,200 every time we had to go change your glasses, which was usually every year.
Yeah.
But this time it got better, and we still had to pay the $1,200.
But I was able to go
7 years.
7 years, and I still...
We had to buy new glasses this year only because the other ones she'd had so long, they had scratches on them.
Yeah.
Same prescription, nothing changed.
Yeah. So my eyesight has remained steady for that long, and I attribute that to my diet. I mean, it makes sense because blood sugar irregularities, people with diabetes, one of the things that they struggle with is vision problems because the imbalances in the blood sugar. You have all the sugar in the blood, and it changes how the blood vessels work. It kind of hardens them, and it reduces the blood flow to your limbs and your eyes and your kidneys and that sort of thing.
That's why you start to get squiggly vision when you have blood sugar issues.
Yeah, so keeping that blood sugar in order is very important.
Right.
So you look at your things like that. You look at how's your energy.
Yes.
Do you obviously he doesn't have an energy problem, even though he has adrenal fatigue too. That amazes me.
The ketones, I think, mitigate it a little bit.
They have to. They have to, because we're exact opposites. Don't mess with me before 12 o'clock noon.
And I'm up at 4.
Him, on the other hand, he's all perky in the morning, and I'm like, oh, you're a little bit too much energy.
But in about an hour from now, I'm going to be like,
yeah.
Because I go to bed at like 8 o'clock and you go to bed at like 1 o'clock. So
yeah, in the morning, yep.
We're like two ships crossing in the night.
Yeah. So, I look at energy levels. What else?
You've hit most of them.
Yeah.
And just subjectively, do you feel good? Because if you're eating food and you're on a diet but you don't feel good, there's something wrong with what you're doing. That person I was helping a little bit earlier, the friend of mine, has gastroparesis. And so when she would eat specific kinds of foods, like green leafy vegetables, it would mess with her stomach. But then when she had like iceberg lettuce, that didn't bother it. When she had ground beef, that wouldn't bother it. When she had cheese, that wouldn't bother it. But then milk would bother it. So it's like she had to like kind of guess what foods would work well for her, and she's still trying to circumnavigate all that.
Yeah, it's tricky, and hopefully over time, as she manages her stress and heals herself, hopefully that will get better.
Yeah.
If I remember right, that's just simply your stomach not being able to empty like it should.
Yeah, gastroparesis. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a toughie.
Yeah.
As far as weight goes, instead of looking at the scale, pay attention to how your clothes feel. So your scale could be stuck, and you saw this you're in your initial weight loss.
Yeah.
You went
10 weeks in a row.
10 weeks in a row without
after losing 100
weight.
pounds.
Yeah, but you could tell that your clothes were fitting.
Oh yeah, I lost 6
differently.
inches
So things
off my
were
waist.
moving around in there.
Yeah.
Your body was I don't even know what the word would be.
Adjusting.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because the scale is not moving doesn't mean that good things aren't happening.
Right. And weight isn't necessarily, I know the media and health professionals, they all like to put this emphasis on weight. I was just reading earlier a news article about how they're putting the connection of, cancers, they're really tied directly to your weight. So if you simply lose weight, you can prevent cancer and blah, blah, blah. And they're not understanding, why is the weight there? It's there because of metabolic disturbances and metabolic disorders that need to be fixed with nutrition. And if you don't fix the nutrition, the weight's going to remain. It's just really fascinating how our culture has this all or nothing proposition on your health being all about your weight. And what we're doing, what we're saying here today on this Jimmy Rant's Nutritional Pearls crossover episode is, let's flip that script. Let's get the health in order. And then if you get healthy, the weight should come down.
It should. You may have some things that you still struggle with.
Yeah.
I mean, you are dealing with this,
Yeah.
but we're slowly getting puzzle pieces, and hopefully we can put them all together.
That's right.
But if you have the means to get some of this genetic testing
Yep.
done, I highly recommend it, especially the MTHFR.
Go see a functional medicine doctor if you can. Dr. Will Cole is a great one, drwillcole.com. But there's many of them that are out there that can help you run all these tests to kind of see where you stand. And it'll help you dial in what diet will work for you. And that's what we're talking about here today on this Jimmy Rant's Nutritional Pearls Podcast crossover episode. All right, let's go to you guys. So we're going to go to Instagram Live first and then over to Facebook Live. So bear with us just a second. Facebook, we're going to go to Instagram. Hello. Welcome in. Watch out for the keto and carnivore cops, Jimmy, says Jeff Hamlin. I'm not worried about those people. Good to see Christine on. Thank you. Could you please talk about reasons why some people should not do keto, low carb, why some may be able to do those type of diets or may not be able to do those type of diets, liver problems, kidney problems, or other contraindications? Health Truths wants to know that. What would prevent someone from being able to try keto? What would be a contraindication? Anything? What about, let's address her first ones. Liver or kidney issues. Are either one of those reasons not to do it?
If you have like end-stage kidney
renal failure?
Yeah. I would be a little bit concerned about the protein aspect.
Right.
You
So
would
go
have
very
to,
low protein.
You would have to, work with your doctor about that. But the fat shouldn't bother things, and that's the ketogenic part. And let me clarify this for kids. I think everybody can benefit from a ketogenic diet,
Or low carb.
Right. Whether they have to do that for long term. I think for some people it could be a therapeutic thing if they're struggling with certain areas, and then once they get their diet dialed in and all these other things, they may be able to go back. As long as they go to real whole foods, they may be okay and not necessarily have to do a ketogenic diet.
And you mentioned kids. I think they are a category that don't necessarily need to do keto unless they're already showing childhood obesity or some other kind of type 2 diabetes developing. For the most part, kids, get them to eat real whole food and get off the crappy garbage, and that's 99% of it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, a lot of kids today are exhibiting metabolic syndrome
because
they're already sugar addicted.
Right.
And this is where, you have these kids with behavioral problems, mental things. What do doctors do? And this aggravates me because the doctors don't focus on the nutrition. You have kids that are being put on these antidepressants, these things for ADHD.
Right.
It's not necessary
SSRIs.
it's not necessary in most cases. They've got to get the child's diet dialed in. All of these artificial colorings, these sugars,
even chemicals in the household cleaners and things like that.
Chemicals in the household cleaners, all these things affect children. And so, we've heard so many stories of parents changing their child's diet to bacon and eggs for breakfast in the morning. And the teachers tell the parents, what did you do?
What drug did you put them on? Up that dosage.
Yeah, because they are focusing in
bacon and
school.
eggs?
They're paying attention. Their energy. They're able to concentrate.
Right.
And it's just a simple diet change.
Yeah.
And so, it just breaks my heart that these kids are being put on these medications
Right.
that, for most cases, it can be fixed with diet.
Right.
And the parents just have to take the time to, and I know parents are busy, but they have to take the time to cook properly for their children. This is so important. So, okay, if you don't have a gallbladder, you can still do a ketogenic diet. You just have to take digestive enzymes.
You don't have a gallbladder.
I didn't mean to get off on that soapbox. I'm sorry.
You don't have a gallbladder.
No, I don't have a gallbladder, but I take digestive enzymes. And your body will actually learn how much bile to produce. And so don't use the no gallbladder as an excuse not to do keto.
A lot of people do.
You can do it. Is there something else that she was asking too?
No. Just what would be a contraindication for someone doing keto?
I really think anybody can do it, but it's important to work with a doctor that can monitor things, especially if you do have medical issues.
And keep in mind, if you're going to, quote, do keto, make sure you're testing for ketosis, because there's so many people that think they're doing a ketogenic diet. They've never once tested ketones. Oh, keto didn't work for me. Well, what were your ketones? Well, I never tested ketones. How do you know you were keto?
Yeah.
So you've got to test some more. All right, let's see if there's anybody else that has a question. Coracan Keto says, I lost 105 pounds eating keto, had hernia surgery 11 weeks ago, changed over to carnivore a month ago, not losing weight yet. Thoughts. So it looks like Corey is trying to figure out the diet that works after this surgery. So what do you think? Carnivore's not, quote, working yet.
How long since the surgery?
It says had hernia surgery 11 weeks ago, so right at almost 3 months ago, and changed over to carnivore last month.
So surgery is one of those things that
inflammation's still high.
Yeah, that surgery will just do a number on your body, and it takes a while to bounce back from that. Be kind to yourself. I would also look at medications that you're on. I would look at your sleep.
Yes, pain med, probably.
Yeah, those pain meds.
NSAIDs.
Raise blood sugar and therefore insulin.
So get healed a little more, and then let's talk about that. Yeah. And plus, don't look at just, like we mentioned earlier, just the weight as the parameter of how you're doing. If you feel good and you're healing fast, like your shoulder surgery was not that long ago. We're only talking 7 months ago, and that's a full year.
Was it October 2nd? Yeah, so it's October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Yeah, just about 7 months.
She doubted my math. But 7 months.
Yeah, so, no doubt there's still some inflammation in there.
Right.
But
but you're using it and you're feeling better.
I attributed my diet to...
Has to.
Healing faster.
Right.
I would look at your sleep. How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel rested? If not, you're probably not getting enough deep and REM, which is your delta and theta waves.
Theta and
my gosh.
I want to pledge that sorority.
Delta and theta waves is your deep and REM sleep, and so if you're not getting into those, you're not going to feel rested in the morning. If you're not producing enough melatonin, you're not going to be getting adequate sleep. So I would look at all of those things.
Yes.
Man, that was a tongue twister.
Data and Thelta. I'm going to remember that one from now on. She had Star Trek on the mind. New Bill Janet said, I had a bad night of sleep, so I'm ready soon for bed, but I'm not up at 4 a.m. unless I go to work. Well, you don't need to be up that early. I happen to be up that early.
No, Jimmy's just a weirdo.
Well, and when I don't get good sleep, for example, I will sleep in until almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you slept until almost 7 the other day, and it freaked the mess out of me.
Yeah. So, are you able to see the comments? Yes, but we don't get to them until after we finish our initial thing. All right, so let's set you guys down. That's all the questions we had for Instagram. Let's come over here to our lovelies here on Facebook. Thank you for being here on this crossover episode, Jimmy Rant's Nutritional Pearls Podcast. Kim says, I love you too. Well, we love you too. Thanks for being here. And there's your mama saying hi. She's like, guys, can you see me? Can you see me? Can you see me?
We can see you. We just...
Jeannie says, ham and Brussels sprouts. Is that all right? Yeah.
Yeah, especially if the Brussels sprouts... Oh, my God.
Do we need to take
sprouts.
two?
Brussels sprouts are cooked in bacon grease.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. Elizabeth says, what do you expect that was your mom, when you were just 2 pounds?
Yeah, no.
That's what she was when she was a preemie.
A tiny baby.
She was an itty bitty living space when she was born.
Yeah.
All right, so Rita, that is a general question. We can't answer that. We're sticking with finding the diet that's right for you.
Send Jimmy an email.
Kim says, keto is definitely the right diet for me. It has changed my life completely. I feel so much better. That's so awesome.
Yep.
I'm in a great place with keto, says Bonnie. Excellent. Kathy Jerry Barker says, I love this lifestyle, almost 65 years old and off of all my medications, and I feel great. See, that's the pay dirt.
Yep.
That's why you're trying to get the diet that's right for you, because if you get the diet that's right for you, like Kathy Jerry Barker, you get to 65 years old and no longer do you need to worry about meds. How many of your peers at that age are not on any meds at all? Both of my parents are in that age range, a little bit older, and they're both on a buttload of pills. And will be the rest of their lives.
And even your half brother, he's on some medications now, and he's younger than you are. It's just,
6 years younger.
It's because he doesn't have his diet correct, and it's hard. People don't attribute nutrition to things that they deal with.
That's
physically.
That's right. Run Doc Run 16 says keto controls my IBS and PTSD. So
that's good.
Other non-scale victories. And then Sam says, don't always lose pounds, but I do lose inches around my waist, gone from a 54 to a 40.
Wow.
So that's really good.
Yeah.
So guys, the bottom line in this Jimmy Rant's Nutritional Pearls Podcast crossover episode is bio-individuality. It's a thing. And when you hear people talk about find what works for you, hopefully today's show helped you circumnavigate some of the keys to figuring that out. And you've learned today it's not just about dialing in your diet, it's about dialing in really every aspect of your health. So yes, diet is key, and you want to make sure that you get that in the right place. And that's where someone like Christine and her Nutritional Therapy Practitioner colleagues can help you out if you start to have issues in your diet. But don't neglect all of those kind of non-diet things too that could be throwing a monkey wrench, where you might have the right diet for you, but because you're not dealing with the stress and the lack of sleep and the medications you're taking and some of these other mitigating factors, it could negate all the good that you're doing in your diet.
Do I have time to break?
Yeah, go.
A couple more things just to show you how complicated our bodies are.
Uh-oh.
The gut, you've heard me talk about this sort of thing. The gut, your intestines it's very important. A healthy diet is good for giving you healthy intestines. 90% of the serotonin, which is that feel-good neurotransmitter, is produced in your intestines. So if you have poor gut health, you're going to have mood problems. And so it's important getting your gut health right. So that's something that you need to look at. Your thyroid, you know that the thyroid controls your metabolism, but it also is a factor in some neurotransmitters, and it's also a factor in stomach acid production. So if you have low thyroid function, not only are you dealing with the hair loss, the coldness in room temperatures, the fatigue, the weight gain, but you're also going to not be producing enough stomach acid.
Yeah.
And by not producing enough stomach acid, you're not going to be able to break down those foods correctly and absorb those nutrients. So yeah, you need to look at your thyroid. You need to look at your gut health, because all of these things are just very important for how you feel and how your body functions.
And to that we say, mic drop. So, Christine, thanks for joining us again here today on this Jimmy Rants Nutritional Pearls Podcast crossover episode. How can they find us? What's the website?
I forgot.
What's the name of the show?
Gosh, nutritionalpearlspodcast.com. You can find it on llvlc.com.
You can find it on Apple Podcast. You can find it on Stitcher. You can find it if you throw a rock at a window.
Oh my gosh.
This is why she leaves it to me to do all that kind of intro stuff. You just bring the smarts and the looks.
Well, I bring the smarts. I don't know about the looks.
You definitely have the looks in the Moore household. So, all right, guys. So thanks for joining us, Christine. And we'll be back again next Monday with another episode. No, we won't. We're done. We're gone for the next 2 months. We're going to be gone on Nutritional Pearls Podcast because we have a breakneck schedule. But we will be back.
We're going to Italy.
Yes, we are going to Italy. And then we're going on the low-carb cruise coming up at the end of May and into June. And then June we have some trips. So, yeah, we got a lot of travel going on. So,
talking about stress.
yes.
Although, Italy's going to be fun, but the travel, I'm not looking forward to that.
But we'll be back in July with brand new Nutritional Pearls podcast. So, until then, we'll see you then.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can engage live in the content. We start off over on Instagram Live, and we do these couple of times a day generally. Not always with the beautiful, the lovely, the talented, but you stuck with this schlub.
Oh, my very handsome schlub.
And so you can watch me live on Instagram. Go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN. We also simulcast live here on Facebook. So thanks to all my Facebookers. And stick around. We got the Jimmy Rants after party coming up here in just a second. If you missed the live over on Instagram, you can actually watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, go to YouTube, type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show are in podcast form. The Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, Instagram, we'll see you then.